Yeah, yeah. I understand the member for Flinders is seeking. I just remind the House that this is the member's first speech and that he should be accorded the normal courtesies and respect afforded to new members on this important occasion. In case you don't know what that means, no interjections, please. The member for Flinders, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I'd like to thank Her Excellency the Governor for her words of introduction at the last sitting of this place at the start of this term of State Parliament. It really is a great privilege and with great pride that I take my place in this House as the newly elected member for Flinders. The electorate's been my home for my whole life and for many generations of previous family. I'm excited to be elected to this position of representation for my community and take up the challenge of being the voice for our needs and opportunities in this place. Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the previous member for Flinders, Mr Peter Treloar. He served the electorate with passion, enthusiasm and conviction for the past 12 years. His dedication to the electorate and his constituents and his contribution to this House is to be congratulated and admired. Peter was held in high regard throughout the electorate as well as within this place, as was highlighted by the words which were spoken about him from all sides of this House. He's also been a good friend and mentor for me who's always been willing to do what he can to help me. I've been reminded often that I've got big shoes to fill in this place, and this is a challenge I'm looking forward to taking on. An election campaign in Flinders is unique, with 26 polling booths spread across the hundreds of kilometres which make up the electorate, as well as a mobile booth which travels to the far-flung areas of the far west. I had volunteers at all these booths on election day, from the large ones in Port Lincoln with thousands of voters, down to the very small in towns with dozens of voters in places such as Wirrala, Dark Peak or even my hometown, Ungara. These volunteers were friends, family, party members and supporters who believed in me as a candidate and what the Liberal Party stands for. So I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge their efforts in helping me to be elected to this position. Thank you. I want to especially thank my SEC President, Danny Bartlett, who put in countless hours through the campaign, helping organise volunteers and spending days in the hot sun with me at the pre-poll, as well as others such as Des and Audrey and Keith, who helped me in those 2 weeks of pre-polling. The electorate of Flinders covers an area of natural beauty, environmental diversity. It was one of the original 17 state electorates which was created in 1856 and is the only district to have survived in name to this present day. It includes 10 different council areas, the district councils of Ceduna, Streaky Bay, Elliston, Woodner, Kimber, Franklin Harbour, Cleve, Tumby Bay and Lower Eyre Peninsula, and the city of Port Lincoln, as well as the local government area of Maralinga-Jarucha and a portion of the pastoral unincorporated area which includes localities such as Fowlers Bay, Nullarbor and Yalata, going all the way to the border with Western Australia. The over 2,000 kilometres of coastline in Flinders varies between the secluded bays and the beaches and the islands of the Spencer Gulf, the sheltered coves and inlets up the west coast, and the rugged and spectacular cliffs that face out towards the Great Australian Bight and the Southern Ocean. Its waters are productive and full of life, with the Eyre Peninsula producing more than 80% of South Australia's seafood. It's renowned across the nation and the world. Port Lincoln is the regional hub, and here you'll find the largest commercial fishing fleet in the Southern Hemisphere. The region is home to the South Australian southern bluefin tuna industry. It produces 97% of the state's oysters, 92% of the state's mussels, 62% of the state's abalone, as well as finfish, prawns, lobster, I could go on. These industries are built on sound environmental management, sustainability, aquaculture development and entrepreneurship. On the land, the electorate of Flinders is equally as diverse. It varies greatly, with higher rainfall big gum country in the south, rolling hills with productive mallee soils, big granite country with such incredible character, wide open farming land and the red, rich outback land which we have in the far west. Our environment is unique and breathtaking, highlighted by the Port Lincoln Coffin Bay and Gawler Ranges National Parks, as well as many other national parks, conservation parks and heritage areas. I come to this position with a strong connection to my electorate, with a history through my forebears with families such as the Telfer, Provis and other families stretching back to the 19th century. Like many others at the time, my great-grandfather travelled through bush tracks with horses and wagon loaded for the long journey, arriving at a scrub block where the first task was to dig a small dam with a pick and a shovel to try and catch water for his horses and start to build a life for his family there. I'm so privileged to be able to farm that same land with my family more than a century later. With such personal history and working experience, agriculture is a real passion of mine. Agriculture is the cornerstone of my electorate's economy as well as the state's economy. The electorate of Flinders now takes in all the agricultural land of the Eyre Peninsula, which produces 40% of the state's wheat crop, 24% of the barley and 22% of the canola. And we need to make sure that we're continuing to be investing in this valuable primary production. The technological advances which I've seen in just my 20 years of farming are incredible, let alone looking further back. For instance, my grandfather started farming life as a teenager, using horse teams to work the land and cart their produce. Before he passed away 10 years ago, he got to experience a 450 horsepower tractor which was precision steered using GPS technology. Our state farmers utilise technology and research to be state-of-the-art, modern, sustainable businesses. As a state, we need to make sure we're doing all we can to ensure that we're encouraging investing in agtech, to ensure that we're doing all we can to continue to be at that technological cutting edge. In my electorate, we have the Minnipa Agriculture Centre, which was first established back in 1915, more than 100 years ago, and has been helping with development of dryland farming ever since. It's an example of consistent and constant research, variety development and active farmer involvement, which is so vital to the future of agriculture in South Australia and should be encouraged and enabled by government. The previous generations which I spoke about were also incredible examples of hard work and selflessness. As well as building somewhere for themselves to live and earn a living, they also turn their efforts into building their community, with churches and schools often being first. As a man with a strong Christian faith, I'm truly thankful to be able to have a heritage of faithfulness through multiple generations, especially my grandfather Reg Telfer, who was a strong influence on my life. And I'm blessed to be able to worship and fellowship at the same church as those forebears more than 100 years later at my hometown of Ungara. The spirit of giving and volunteering continues in my electorate, regularly having one of the highest volunteer participation rates in census data. These people are investing back into their community, building a better place to live, not just now but for the future. In communities across Flinders, it takes everyone coming together to ensure we're doing all we can to support each other through both good and challenging times. You can find them volunteering at schools, sporting clubs, community groups, churches, museums, service groups, all over the place, and often in multiple different places around their community. And it was this sense of community responsibility which first led me into community leadership, taking up the challenge of serving on the District Council of Tumby Bay as an elected member. This led to more than a decade in local government, being elected to the role as mayor for over 7 years. During my time, Council was able to deliver a number of positive infrastructure projects which put the community in good stead for the future, as well as significant community events and programs which have added to the depth of quality of our community for people of all ages. The people who work in local government are passionate about local outcomes, and I've been truly lucky to work with a number of high-quality people throughout that time. I've always had a region-wide perspective, and this led to me being elected unopposed by my peers to be the president of the Eyre Peninsula Local Government Association, which is a grouping of those 11 councils from around the Eyre Peninsula. This role helped me understand the needs, challenges and opportunities from across my whole electorate, recognising the similarities which we have across our region, but also the differences which are inherent when you're looking at an electorate which spans more than 200,000 square kilometres. I covered a lot of that land mass during the last 12 months, and I'm sure we'll continue to over the next 4 years. And I heard from community leaders and community members across all of Flinders. It's clear from those discussions that health across my region is the number one priority and concern for my communities. Recruitment and retention of medical professionals is the biggest health challenge for my electorate, especially those communities away from large population centres. Local government has been active in trying to help their communities through these challenges, building houses for doctors to live in, buying and operating medical clinics, paying for medical services for their community, and playing an active role in trying to recruit GPs. I'll give you some examples. At Streaky Bay, the council has had to work with the community to form the Streaky Bay and Districts Medical Clinic, which is a community-owned GP practice providing comprehensive general practitioner services for all ages to Streaky Bay, surrounding districts and visitors. At Kimber, the council has been involved with the community to build a new medical clinic in the town and has been very active in trying to attract a GP for a number of years. Woodner, for instance, is currently without a GP. This issue is across my whole electorate. I was encouraged when the former government developed and introduced the Rural Generalist Program, which was designed to provide a training pathway for medical professionals to develop the diverse skill set necessary to practice in regional areas. This training program is vital for us to build the long-term capacity which we need for our communities to be sustainable. However, short-term solutions really need to be put in place as well. The current arrangements for our smaller regional centres are not working, and we need to develop structures, incentives and arrangements which actually reflect the needs of these communities. Short-term, expensive locum services provide no certainty or continuity and are undermining the long-term sustainability of communities in my electorate. Without appropriate medical services, we are losing those who are most vulnerable, the elderly, the young families, those that add to balanced and all-inclusive communities. These people are forced to leave communities when there are no medical supports, and we can't afford for that to happen to my communities in Flinders. We need all three levels of government working together to get solutions which are sustainable. My experience in local government also extended to being elected as the President of the Local Government Association of South Australia by the 68 councils from across the state. My time as head of the LGA was one of significant change, with a local government reform bill being developed with the Liberal government as well as having input from all sides of Parliament. It was the most significant reform of local government for over 20 years, and I'm proud to have helped playing my part in aiming for balance and effectiveness in that bill, along with the Minister, Department, Parliament and the LGA under the leadership of Matt Pinniger as CEO. There are still many opportunities for local government to adjust and change, to more effectively operate and reflect the needs of their communities, and I'm committed to playing my part to drive forward the need for such changes. During my time as the LGA President and on the LGA Board of Directors, I also had the opportunity to meet with and get to know mayors, CEOs, elected members and staff from all across the state and develop a greater understanding of the issues and opportunities which they face. There are so many significant economic opportunities all across regional South Australia, and we need to make sure that the state government is doing all it can to promote these opportunities. This requires investments into roads and productive infrastructure that enable products to get to market efficiently and people to get to destinations safely. As someone who nearly lost their life in a serious car accident, I'm passionate about road safety, especially in regional South Australia. Almost 2/3 of the crashes resulting in a loss of life or serious injury on regional and remote roads are often single vehicle crashes that do not involve any other vehicles or pedestrians. Many of these occur when the vehicle leaves the road and collides with an object or rolls over. So this is why the record level of investment into South Australian roads from the Liberal government in the last term needs to continue. In my electorate, there's been significant investment into shoulder sealing, overtaking lanes and intersection upgrades on some of our major highways. The Eyre Highway, the Todd Highway, the Lincoln Highway and the Birdseye Highway in particular. The works that have been done to widen long distances along this road will mean that the margin of error is greater for people travelling along them if they make an error of judgment. As my predecessor in this place would often say, and is often quoted as saying, a wider road is a safer road. There is an ongoing need for strong investment in our regional roads, and I'll be actively advocating for the government to prioritise such expenditure. As you can tell, I'm a strong advocate for regional South Australia, regions that contribute so much. They've got industries which put $29 billion into the state's economy. I was part of a consultation team that helped develop the South Australian Regional Development Strategy, visiting communities and towns across the whole state to hear directly from local community leaders, small business and advocacy groups. This work was invaluable to fully understand the opportunities, challenges and needs of our regional areas, and to recognise that the regions are crucial for the future prosperity of our state. The objective of the strategy was to define key focus areas that can drive government investment, decision-making and alignment in service delivery, reflecting the clear priorities of each unique South Australian region. There should be consideration of regional perspectives with every policy which is developed by government, especially in key areas such as health, education, housing, infrastructure and others. For regional South Australia, growth and development must be targeted in ways that make our communities stronger and more resilient. We must ensure that we get the basics right, so we can support our existing regional populations and drive opportunities for them to grow. There's so much upside for our state if we get these policies right. As I finish up, I'd like to make a mention of those who are special to me. I don't have a full gallery of friends and supporters. I've got a few kicking around at the back there. It's a bit of a trip for us to actually get from my electorate all the way to Adelaide. I know there are plenty watching on the live stream, so whichever camera. Hello, thank you. Thank you for your support. Those friends and families and supporters which have helped me get to where I am today, especially throughout the state election. They're too numerous to mention, but I'd like to express my gratitude to them all. I'd like to thank my local government friends from across the whole state who've supported me and have always been a good source of knowledge about what is happening on the ground in South Australia. I'd like to thank my church family and friends from Ungara who've always been there for me with prayers and support throughout the years. To my family, my brothers Luke, Joshua and Isaac, their wives and their families, as well as my sister Esther. Thank you. We've always been a close family who've taken care of each other, and I truly do appreciate that. And that also extends to my wider family of uncles, aunties and cousins, who've always meant that there's a wide support structure for me in our family. To my parents-in-law, Ian and Jane, who've always been there for us throughout the years. My parents, Melvin and Lynn, who were able to be here for my swearing in a couple of weeks ago. Thank you for your love, support and encouragement throughout my life, even through challenging times. And they too, I'm sure, are watching online, looking after our three little girls for us while we're over here. Finally, to my wife, Carla. I'll put this near the end so I can just take it steady. We've been together through most of our life, learning together, working together, raising our kids together, and doing life together. You're my best friend, the love of my life, my confidant, and have always been my greatest encourager and support through good times and bad. Thank you for everything. To my parliamentary colleagues, both state and federal, who have supported me with their advice and direction as I've been finding my feet. It truly is a privilege to be elected into this place, representing my community in important decisions that are made which affect all of us. That responsibility shouldn't ever be taken for granted by any of us, whether we've just got here like I have or we've been here for many years. I will always endeavour to act with integrity and respect, serving the electorate of Flinders who have put their trust in me to represent them. And I'll finish with a couple of verses from the book of Psalms, chapter 37. Commit your way to the Lord and trust in him. The Lord makes firm the steps of those who trust in him. Though they may stumble, they will not fall, for the Lord holds them in his hands. Thank you.